Good evening, folks. This is Steve, and this is A Voice Crying in the Wilderness, and I'm broadcasting from suburban Chicago. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to reply to my friend James Carr, who just had a podcast recently on Anchor Radio, which is on the Voice Crying in the Wilderness group. And I would suggest you check that out. And I'm going to kind of give you my response on what he was talking about. But before you listen to me, I would suggest you listen to his podcast as well. And it's called Will You Stand? And there's a lot of things that I was listening to, a lot of it, and there's a lot of things on there that I do agree with. And I think it's about time that we all start to face reality about Jesus's return. Are you guys out there living for Jesus? Have you been living for Jesus? Or have you just been going to church and not really practicing what you're preaching? Well, that's kind of what I'm here to talk about. And I'm trying to kind of tell you what was kind of what the kind of what's kind of going on. Right now, we're suffering from high inflation and high gas prices. We're also suffering. There's a lot of turmoil in the world. There's the war in Ukraine, and there's all these sorts of things that are happening. We have chaos at the border, and I usually don't get into a lot of political stuff, but I think it's very important to understand that we are in some very rough times, and there are rough times ahead. For those of you who have money in retirement, such as I do, like a 401k, you may have looked at it recently and you realize that it's lost nearly half of its value, and you're putting money into it, and it's lost nearly half of its value, and it may not be worth investing in. But I will say that I really want to try to be hopeful for the future. But sometimes it's very hard to do when you see all the turmoil that's going on. But the question is we are in for some very rough times. We're getting close to having high interest rates. There's people who cannot afford to put gas in their car, and just like me, one of the good things about my situation is that I don't have quite a lot of money. It's a good thing I don't have to drive very far and don't have long distances. But there are other people that do, that have families, and they're struggling to put food on the table, and things are going to get much harder. And that is why it is important for all of you to get down on your knees. Get down on your knees, get down on your knees in prayer, and start living for him. And so many of us over the years have failed to live for Jesus. We have consistently gone to church every Sunday. We've spent so much time being so busy with our lives that we just haven't been paying attention to what's going on. And the enemy is upon us, and he is coming to get us. And I don't know if we'll be able to win this battle. And I know it's going to be a very difficult battle, and I feel that we're going to win it. But before we win it, we're going to be in for some very, very rough times ahead. And so I would encourage everyone to be ready for what's coming, and I would be ready to live for Jesus. We have not seen anything like this, any times like this, probably since the late 1970s, or at least maybe as far back as the late 20s or the early 30s. People haven't seen what really hard times are. People don't know what it's like to know what it's like to live on the street, or know what it's like to not be able to put gas in your car, to put food on the table. And we are in some very serious trouble and troubled times ahead. And we need to seriously be ready. We also need to be prepared that there's always this possibility that there are movements around the world that are trying to divide us. We have this thing called identity politics and multiculturalism, and this is some very serious issues, and we're a very deeply divided country, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to fix the mess. I'm not sure what the future holds. I want to try to be hopeful, but I think that I am just like you are. I'm always hoping for a revival. I always want to be hopeful that things will get better. But from what I'm seeing right now, it's going to be a very bumpy ride ahead. So I hope all of you guys out there are ready. And while you're doing that, it's probably be a good time to just get down on your knees, pray to God, and start getting more into the Bible, and just start learning to love others and help others, because we all need each other. And we're not going to make it is if we're all fighting with each other and we're not united. We're going to need each other in these very, very difficult times that we're going to be ahead. We've got high interest rates, we've got high inflation, high food, and we're also suffering from moral decline. Our public schools are indoctrinating our kids, and we're simply not paying attention to what's going on. And people need to understand, as people need to start educating their kids. People need to be more involved with their child's education. People who have children, they need to be more responsible for their children. If their children are hungry, they should make sure that they're getting enough food to eat. They should be making sure that their needs are met. And there seems to be so many people out there that are not doing this, and a lot of the children are suffering. We have, for the past 40 or 50 years, we have decided that the way we're all going to live is that we're going to have consequence-free sexual activity and just continue to make babies and without responsibility. And we have fallen so far away from the Bible that we have refused to acknowledge his existence. And now this is the result. And what's coming is not fun. And I can tell you right now, what I'm trying to prepare for is prepare for the future. And the future doesn't look too pretty right now. We're a very divided country. We have problems at the border. We have people in our government that are just very out of touch, and they don't care about us. And we're at the brink of we're headed for civil war. And I hope that doesn't happen. I just think that we're losing our country by the day, and everything around us is being destroyed, and there's very, very little time left. And as my friend James Carter says, it is time to get out of your comfort zone. It is time to get out there. It is time to live for God. It is time to read your Bible, and it is time to get informed. And it is time to start helping others and start doing whatever you have to do, and just learning to doing whatever you have to do to survive, because we're all going to need each other. The next few years are going to be very, very difficult. I'm not really sure exactly how we're going to get out of it. We're just seen to be so uninformed. We're spending too much time listening to music, buying things we don't need, and spending money we don't have. We're over in constant debt. We continue to have faith in politicians that do nothing for us but stab us in the back. And we have seen, we're forgetting the one foundation that has kept us all together, and that is called the Bible. We need to get back to the Bible. We need to get back to the scriptures, and we need to do it as soon as we can. The first thing we need to do is we need to start learning how to raise our children properly. We need to start, we may have to sacrifice a little. We may not, maybe we don't need that big fancy house. Maybe we need to get a smaller car. We may need to downsize. We may need to learn to live on a little bit less. We are in a dire straits right now, and it's only going to get worse. And it's because none of us out here are paying attention. So we all need to to come together, start living for God and learning to sacrifice for him. And we're not doing it. And we're certainly going to find out very, very soon the consequences of when we don't follow God. So the question is are you ready to live for God? Are you ready to help others? Are you ready to do things that you never thought you could do? Well, that's what I think you should do. You need to get out there. You need to reach as many people for Christ as much as you possibly can. No one is going to be out there and do it for you. Only you can do it. You have to go out there, spread the word, and do everything you can and just sacrifice for him. And what I'm saying to you right now is what I'm saying to you, the only way we're going to get through these hard times is by getting closer to God. We are at the midst of possibly getting close to one world government and one world religion. I read a statistic somewhere that probably in the next 2 decades, or between the next 20 to 30 years, America is poised to bring in about 80 to 100 million new immigrants or new refugees to the United States. And what is going to be the result of that? Well, what kind of a country are we going to be living in? I mean, with 100 million new immigrants from 150 different countries, where there's 150 different languages, 150 different cultures, and 150 different worldviews. So that's kind of what we're facing. And I hope we don't have civil war. I don't want that. I don't think that is the answer, but I think that we better start paying attention, and we better start getting out of our comfort zone. We better stop sitting in church every Sunday as my friend James and just pretending that everything is okay. We need to get out there. We need to be proactive, and probably, if we can, is get your kids out of the schools. Educate your kids at home. Stop complaining about how bad things are. And only you can make those changes. Only you and me can make our lives better. Nobody else out there is going to be able to save us. No politician is going to save us. Nobody is going to make things better. Only you and me can make things better. So it is up to you to decide what you want to do. You have to decide how to make your lives better. So it is about time that we better start learning from each other and learning how to survive, because rough times are ahead. And the only thing that is going to get us through these difficult times is to continue to have faith in God and a return to the Bible. And that is the way, that is going to be kind of the result, and that's the kind of the dilemma we're in. So I just wanted to make this statement, and I just want to wish my friend James Carter, and hopefully I will come to visit him. I'm following his ministry very well, and if for those of you who want to listen to a good sermon, I would encourage you to listen to some of his sermons. So I'm doing everything I can. I just hope that you're doing everything you can, and it is about time that we just learn to live for him. So this is Steve from A Voice Crying in the Wilderness, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.